Coming up on this week of FRC Recap, Week 5 of Rapid React is done. We have 27 regional and district events that our correspondents will give their recaps and breakdowns for. We've got some district championships to preview, some Week 6 events and discussions on tap. Get ready for FRC Recap.
Your destination for first content, updates, and gaming.
Welcome to the fun.
First Updates Now is supported by Stryker Careers. If you are a college student or recent graduate looking for an incredible internship, take a look at Stryker. Stryker provides a housing stipend, great pay, and an opportunity to work with state-of-the-art medical technology equipment. Discover why so many First alumni are coming to Stryker for their internship or career at careers.stryker.com. First Updates Now is supported by Kettering University. Kettering University hosts 3 co-op employment fairs each year for incoming and current students. Participating in the co-op employment process at Kettering is a great way to begin turning your robotics experience into a professional career to earn money towards graduating debt-free. If you are a senior, it's not too late to apply at kettering.edu/apply.
Welcome to FRC Recap for Week 5. I'm your host, Steve Londo. This week, Fun Correspondents will provide you with recaps of our 27 events broken down into 8 regions. Our first region for tonight goes back a week to our international region where the Israel District Championships took place. Our producer, Tyler, has the details. Tyler?
41 of Israel's best met a week ago for the Israel District Championship, and if you get a chance to watch this is a fantastic preview of what Worlds could look like, and I highly encourage that you go back and watch it. Rankings were way more close this time, with 7 teams having a ranking score of 3 or higher going into eliminations. I think many would have placed a large bet on 1690 Orbit to seed first, but it was actually 1577 Steampunk, who has always played second fiddle this year in prior events, that would take first with a ranking score of 3.83. Now let's talk about matches, and big shout out to Danny for her help on this. 61 out of 80 qualification matches were 4 RP Unicorn matches. 31 out of 80 were 6 RP Super Unicorn matches, and looked absolutely phenomenal as we went through, and only 2 matches had only 2 RP earned. Also, match 27, you got to check that one out too. 16 cargo was scored in auto, which is pretty incredible to see. And in match 62, we saw a new qualification match, individual and high combined score record technically. If you go back and watch, there was a Chief Delphi post on this. There was, clearly looked like there were some miscounts on the ball counter there, but the match was not replayed. Technically, it does still stand, but we'll see if that can get beat later on without ball counter issues. Also, big shout out to match number 57, where we had a combined score of 252 points without penalties with these fantastic teams. Playoffs, the number 1 alliance looked like an identical copy of what it was from 2019, and I really do mean that. The number 1 alliance was comprised of 1577, 1690, and they did go ahead and pick up team number 3065 Jat High School as their third robot, their alliance. But this time they'd be looking for some revenge, as the number 1 alliance got knocked out in the semifinals in 2019. And luckily for them, that would not be the case. They wouldn't have the troubles they had in 2019 as they go into the finals in just 4 matches with a winning margin of over 60 points. On the other side of the bracket, the number 3 alliance of 5715, 1574, and 1657 would emerge after just 4 matches after beating the number 2 seed in semifinals. Looking at the finals was a bit nostalgic, as 4 out of 6 teams, 1574, 1577, 1657, and 1690, are all from 2005, which was the very first year of First in Israel. The Blue Alliance would put up a decent score of 87 and 93 in their matches, but just could not withstand the firepower of the number 1 Red Alliance, who put up 134 and 124 points respectively in finals. I know many will rightfully keep paying attention to 1690, and I really do love them myself, but seriously, 1577 is a Tier 1 team, and I would highly suggest teams do not underestimate 1577 when it comes to championships in Houston. Congratulations to the winners in the 22-12, the Spikes, for their District Championship Chairman's Award, and 2096 RoboActive for their District Championship Engineering Inspiration Award. 9 teams would advance on to the World Championships coming from Israel, so shout out to 1577, 1690, 3339, 1574, 3075, 5987, 2096, 3065, and 2212 for qualifying for the World Championships. Israel, you've been an inspiration to all of us here in the States and around the world on how rapid react should be played, and we can't wait to see you here at the World Championships in Houston. Good luck. We'll see you in a few weeks. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Tyler. Our next region takes us to the U.S. Northeast region, where we had 3 events that took place, including the first Mid-Atlantic District Montgomery event, the FMA District Bensalem event, and the New England District Pease Air National Guard event. Our featured event this week comes from the first Mid-Atlantic District Montgomery event. Let's bring in Griffin, who's bringing us the action. Griffin, good to have you back. What happened at the Montgomery event this weekend?
Yeah, so 39 teams gathered at Montgomery High School in Montgomery, New Jersey for the FMA District Montgomery event. Yeah, I didn't realize I'd be saying Montgomery that much in one sentence either. With this event being one of the last events before district champs, teams really were looking to give their all to secure their spot at the district champs. During the qualifications, the top 8 were constantly changing hands, with several teams holding the top spot at different points in time. After the qualification matches, where there were 7 unicorn matches in total, sitting in the top spot was 1914 Midnight Inventors. It was no doubt to anyone as to who their first pick would be, as they picked their twin 1923 Midnight Inventors, and then they rounded out their alliance with 8513 Sisters First. In quarterfinals, this alliance had an easy time taking care of the 8th seed, easily beating them in both matches by over 20 points each time. However, they gained a yellow card in the first match from consistent possession of too much cargo at once. Semis came a little closer than they wanted to, as the number 4 seed at 3314 Mechanical Mustangs, 1676 Pascack Pioneers, and 1279 Cold Fusion ran double defense against the Twins in their first match. While the first match had a large differential of 78 to 53, the second match saw the 4 seed come close with 78 to 77, but it wasn't enough to stop the Twins, giving the number 1 seed a spot in the finals. On the other side of the bracket, we saw some interesting gameplay. In quarters, we saw a major upset in the number 2 seed at 1403 Cougar Robotics, 223 Extreme Heat, and 2577 Pingree Robotics by the 7 seed of 56 Rob, 75 Robo Raiders, and 293 Spike. The 7 seed facing the number 3 seed of 11 Mort, 41 Robo Warriors, and 303 the Test Team. Although the scores were kept close, resulting in a loss in the first match due to only a penalty, the number 7 seed couldn't handle the aggressive defense from 303, which gave the finalist spot to the number 3 team. In the finals, the hype of the number 1 seed versus the number 3 seed fell kind of flat in the first match, as 41 disconnected on the field and the number 3 seed lost in an 89 to 43 score. Although seeming to have fixed their problem, 41 disconnected again in finals 2 for 10 seconds, giving the number 1 seed the breathing room to outpace the number 3 seed, giving the win to the Twins of 1914 and 1923, and a blue banner to the rookies 8513. Congratulations to rookie all-star winners 8513 on the gold and would-be gold clean bling, and EI winners 75 and chairman's winners 1403.
Thanks, Griffin. We'll talk to you up here again in a bit. Up next, we have Connor, who's bringing us the first Mid-Atlantic District Bensalem event, as well as the New England District Pease Air National Guard event, and a preview of our district championship here in the U.S. Our first district championship here in the U.S. You've got the first Mid-Atlantic District Championships coming up. Connor, good to see you again this week. How things go up in the Northeast for you this weekend?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. We now travel a short 41-minute drive to the Bensalem District event. This event featured 34 teams all across the FMA district. After 68 qual matches, it was Team 1807, Redbird Robotics, that would seed first. They would be joined by the number 2 seed of 1626, Falcon Robotics, and 15 seed, the Tin Mints. They would easily push through the quarters and semis, where they met the number 2 seed of 2016, the Mighty Monkey Wrenches, 316, the Lunatics, and 7414, Retro Robotics. The number 1 seed won the first match, but the number 2 seed fought back in both finals 2 and 3 and ended up winning both matches to secure the event win. I'd like to make a huge congratulations to 5401 Fighting Robotic Owls for the Engineering Inspiration Award and to 433 Firebirds for winning chairmans. Now shifting over to the only event in New England this week, we find ourselves at the Pease ANG, or is it NHC Coast, or is it the NH Warehouse event? No, it's the Pease ANG event, home of the buckets, and yes, it was in a very, very large warehouse. After 80 qualification matches, it was Team 238, the Crusaders from Manchester, New Hampshire, who would seed first with an undefeated record of 12-0. Their first pick was the number 2 seed, 133 Burt, and round off the alliance with the number 13 seed, 2648 Infinite Loop. They would make it past the semis and quarters with ease, but got tripped up. They got through the quarters with ease, but got tripped up in the semis. After losing the first semi match against number 5 seed, they regrouped out and dominated the next 2 matches, punching their ticket to the finals, where they met the number 2 seed of 45-64 Orange Chaos, 63-29 the Bucks Wrath, and 63-24 Blue Devils. It was a hard-fought final series, but the number 1 seed would win it in 2 matches, 105-77 and 93-75. Congrats to 61-53, the Blue Crew, for winning Engineering Inspiration, and a 166 Chop Shop for taking home their 3rd Chairman's Award. Super proud of you guys. And a little fun fact, Blue Crew and Chop Shop swapped awards between Pine Tree and Pease. Chop Shop won an EI at Pine Tree, while Blue Crew won Chairman's, and then Blue Crew won EI, while Chop Shop won Chairman's at Pease. Very interesting stat here. And now, FMA fans, the time has come. Welcome to the preview for the first Mid-Atlantic District Championship. The top 60 teams in the district are about to duke it out in epic proportions over 120 qualification matches at the Stabler Athletic Convocation Center. The number 1 ranked team going into this event is none other than 5895 Petty Robotics with 146 district points. Now, a lot of people outside FMA might not be familiar with this team. Even though they qualified for Worlds their first 2 seasons, they have been on a massive upswing since the 2020 season. We will see the usual heavy hitters such as 2590 Nemesis, 1640 Sabotage, 1923 Midnight Inventors, 341 Miss Daisy, 1218 Vulcan Robotics, 3314 Mechanical Mustangs, 11 Mort, 316 Lunatics, 25 Raider Robotics, and 708 Hatters Robotics, and more to come. Expect a crazy high level of play from these teams in what is shaping up to be the most competitive FMA District Championship to come. And maybe, just maybe, we'll see some teams break out and shake up the rankings later on this weekend. Steve, back to you.
Our next region of the night is our U.S. Southeast region. There were 2 events taking place, including the Peachtree District Albany event and the first North Carolina District UNC Pembroke event. Our featured event this week comes from Justin, who's here to start us off with his coverage of the Peachtree District Albany event. Justin, how do things go out at Albany this weekend?
Well, the final Peachtree District event before the district championships, taking place at the Albany Civic Center in southwestern Georgia, competing was only 26 teams, and only one of them was a rookie. 5 of these teams were making their first bid for district points at all. All but one of these teams would even eventually see an elimination match at this competition. So as you can imagine, it was a very tense event. The top 4 ranked teams would have relatively dominant robots all weekend long, but in the end, it was 14-14 IHOT securing the top rank. They would ask 4th ranked 6829 Ignite Robotics, 24th 1002 Circuit Runners Robotics to join them. The second alliance would be captained by 1261 the Robo Lines, and joining them would be 3rd ranked 6919 the Commodores and 25th ranked 6910 Mill Creek Steel Talons. One other alliance I personally wanted to highlight was the 5th seeded alliance, consisting of 5632, 5828, and alliance captain 7315. This alliance really made a strong case for the consistent low goal robots this season. 2 of the 3 robots were Everybot clones, one of which was relegated to defense, and the 3rd robot was a single cargo low goal shooter. They upset the number 4 alliance in quarters and even took a match from the number 1 alliance during semis before finally being struck down. The number 2 alliance would have an easy path to finals, but the number 1 alliance would struggle. They breezed through quarterfinals, but when they reached semis is when things would appear to go wrong for them. IHOT's targeting system wasn't working quite right, and they quickly switched to defense during teleop. This would leave Ignite to score on their own, as 1002 was having connection issues and was immobile. This would leave the door open for the aforementioned number 5 alliance to outpace them with quick and consistent scoring from 73-15. To compile on top of all this, IHOT couldn't complete their high bar climb, and at night didn't have time to even attempt a climb at the end of the match. This would allow Blue to take the win by 5 points. After this, however, IHOT would get their targeting fixed, and they would manage to overpower the Blue Alliance in the next 2 matches. The woes weren't quite over for the number 1 seed yet, though. 1002 was still having connectivity issues, and in fact, during the second semifinal match, they got stuck in front of the lower hub exit, drawing quite a few penalty points. Moving on to finals, it's the number 1 versus the number 2 seed, the top 4 robots at the event, and their alliance partners facing off. 1 and 4 versus 2 and 3. Who would come out on top? Well, in final number 1, 1002 had more of the same issues, losing connection anytime they took any sort of impact. The blue robot of 6910 would run into a similar issue and become immobile halfway through the match. With both defense bots inoperative, the match came down to who could outscore who, and the Blue Alliance would end up coming out on top during this match. Heading into final number 2, the number 1 Alliance finally elected to use their backup card and called in 3091, 100 Scholars. Unfortunately for the Red Alliance, 3091's defense proved ineffective against the number 2 seed, meaning the Blue Alliance would take this final match and the event. One of our winners, 6919, would also win the Engineering Inspiration Award, and taking home the Chairman's Award was 1683, the Techno Titans. Congrats to these teams and all of those attending district championships next weekend in Macon. Now, I already know about one great North Carolina matchup that happened this weekend. Steve, do you know anyone who could tell me about the more important one?
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Yeah, that Duke UNC game was great. And as a Michigan fan and supporter of Michigan State, I'm glad to see Coach K ride it off into the sunset. I'm tired of losing to that guy. But the real big event in North Carolina this weekend was the first in North Carolina district UNC Pembroke event. And James is here to break it down for us, along with the next 2 district championships on our slate, the first in North Carolina district championship and the Peachtree district championship. James, good to see you again. Tell us about these events.
The First Carolina District UNC Pembroke event took place at the English E. Jones Health and Physical Education Center, with 34 teams from across the state. With this being the final event before district championships, many teams were hoping to get enough points to qualify, while others were just looking for one last chance to practice before the event. At the end of qualifications, it was Team 4829, the Titanium Tigers from Chapel Hill, who would seed first and first select Team 3506, Yeti Robotics, and then round out their alliance with Team 3661, the Robo Wolves. After a close semifinal match decided by just a single point, I know what that feels like, the number 1 seed was looking toward a tough finals against the 2nd or 3rd seed. However, that tough match was just not meant to be. During the tiebreaker match of a close series against the number 3 alliance of 8727 Glitch 2.0, 900 the Zebracorns, and 8833 Buzz City Robotics, the captain of the number 2 seed, 3737 the Roto Raptors, would take a nasty fall from the traversal rung, and after what some may call a few controversial penalties on the number 3 seed, the number 2 seed would emerge victorious. However, 3737 would be unable to complete their repairs in time, resulting in finals being contested with a backup robot. Despite the best efforts of the remaining members of the number 2 seed, which were Team 4290, Bots on Wheels, Team 8757, the Geode Bots, and for the second time this season as a backup, Team 7715, the Robo Banditos, the finals would be over in just 2 quick matches, 65-35 and 54-34. Congratulations do go out to our winners, Team 4829, 3506, and 3661, as well as for the Silver Gold Kling Bling for being the finalist. 4290 also got the Chairman's Award. 3196 would be our Engineering Inspiration Award winner, and 8758 Tar Robo Turtles would get the Rookie All-Star Award. Heading into district championships, there's really only 5 teams who look to be favorites heading into the event. The first would be Team 1533 Triple Strange with their quick swerve drive. However, they're not very good at ranking, so they may wind up being a solid pick, but may not be leading the alliance. In comparison, there's Team 2642, the Pit Pirates, also with a quick swerve drive. They are much better at ranking, but are not quite putting up the numbers of Triple Strange. It's quite possible these two will team up together as a double swerve alliance. Looking at non-swerve robots, the best in the state is by far Team 6502 Dark Side. They have a finalist and a semi-finalist appearance under their belts this year, and their quick, accurate turret is a consistent machine. However, they are also lacking in the consistent climbs. To counteract that would be Team 900, the Zebracorns, who, while they're having some issues with their swerve, their climb is super consistent, and they will be a force to be reckoned with in ranking and probably captaining one of the top half alliances. The final one to round out our North Carolina group is 4975, the Eastbots. They're actually the number 1 ranked team in North Carolina points-wise, but they are just a little behind everybody else in terms of numbers. But with their consistent ranking, they may break up these favorites. Looking forward to hearing a bit more about Peachtree from Justin again.
Thanks, James. Yeah, up next we have Justin, who's covering the Peachtree District Championships. Justin, what do you got for us?
Well, the Peachtree District Championship will take place at the Hawkins Arena at Mercer University in Macon, smack dab in the middle of the state. As of about 5 p.m., the complete team list hasn't been posted quite yet, but 23 out of the 32 possible have been. Highlighting that list on the robot side is 1414 IHOT, 1771 North Gwinnett, 4188 Columbus Space Program, 6919 the Commodores, 1261 the Robo Lions, 2974 Walton Robotics, and rookie team 8736 the Mechanisms. This year's district chairman's winners consist of 7451 Avenger Robotics, 1648 G3 Robotics, 2974 Walton Robotics, and 1683 the Techno Titans. If I had to guess who was going to take the gold medals, I would say North Gwinnett, the Commodores, and Columbus Space Program will all be fighting for the number 1 rank, and whichever 2 of these 3 get paired up will take the win. The results so far say it would be North Gwinnett and the Commodores, but I'm putting my money on the Columbus Space Program. And Walton Robotics, in my mind, is a sure thing for Worlds, having been finalist at one event and semifinalist at another. And, of course, they are a favorite for chairmans. One way or another, I expect to see them make it to Worlds.
Thank you, Justin. Up next, we have Griffin, who's previewing the Chesapeake District Championships coming up this weekend. Griffin, what can we look forward to for CHS champs?
Yeah, so looking at the field for district champs this year for Chesapeake, this is, in my opinion, the strongest district champs in Chesapeake's history. The top teams to watch out for are the district powerhouses 2363 Triple Helix, 836 RoboBees, and 41 Copperhead Robotics, who all showed amazing gameplay in their district events. 449 Blair Robot Project will also be a major one to follow, as their consistent traversal, plus a revealed adaptation to shoot high rather than just dump low, makes them a very, very dangerous contender to face. Other teams to keep an eye out for are 422 MechTech Dragons, 614 Nighthawks, 1111 Powerhawks, 8592 Newton Squared, 1885 Islet Robotics, 1731 Fresno Valley Robotics, 1629 Garrett Collision, and plenty more that can easily make deep runs to eliminations. My predictions for this is that 836 will take, or 836 or 401 will, or 836, 401, or 449 will take the top spot because of the fact that they can shoot high and also traverse, which will give them ranking point capabilities. And one of them is going to pick either the other or 2363 and make a deep run to the end with very, very scary choices for their third pick. It's going to be interesting to see how alliances will shake out.
Thanks, Griffin. Looking forward to all these district championships. We'll see all you guys next week. Before we get into our next region, let's take a break to hear from our friends at Kettering University and how you can get the financial aid that you need for college.
When I was considering where to go to college, one of the biggest things for me was figuring out how I was going to be able to pay for college. And it wasn't really until I came to Kettering to one of the Dog Days of Summer events that I figured out how I was going to be able to do that. And it was actually because of this senior chemical engineering student. She was getting ready to graduate and she had told me about all of her phenomenal experiences, both on co-op and here on campus. But more importantly, she told me that she was going to graduate debt-free. And that was an eye-opener for me. That was the first time I'd ever heard that from a college student, and so that's when I knew that I was sold. So really from there, as soon as I came to Kettering, I knew that that was going to be my goal. I wanted to graduate debt-free. And I did that through a variety of ways. First, of course, the co-op experience was a tremendous help, but I even looked at ways to work here on campus. So I was a federal work-study student. I worked in a variety of organizations. And that not only gave me the extra funds, but also different opportunities to meet people and understand the resources here at Kettering. Also looking at scholarships not only here at Kettering University, but even from my hometown and other sources, all of this cumulatively helped me to graduate debt-free.
Next up is the First in Michigan District. We had 4 events happen in the Mitten State, including FIM District Macomb event, the Lakeview event, the Kentwood event, and the FIM District Troy event. Our featured event this week is the FIM District Macomb event, and Nick Jr. is here to bring us the action from this event and the Lakeview event. Nick, welcome back, sir. How things go at Macomb and Lakeview?
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, Macomb was one that really did not disappoint. So we're going to head just north of Detroit and head to Warren, Michigan for our featured event of the week at Macomb Community College. And let me tell you, did not disappoint. 494 the Martians, 70 more Martians, 3539 Biting Bulldogs, 2832 Livonia Warriors, and 862 Lightning Robotics all came into this event with wins this year already. 4130 the Blue Devils, 3175 Night Vision, 1189 Gearheads, 6861 the Tyros team, and 818 Steel Armadillos, including 494 and 70, were all in the 1 seed at some point during this competition. But in the end, it would be 1189 who took the number 1 seed after 4130 had a 0 RP match in their last qualification and got knocked out of the 1 seed with only 3 qualification matches left. There are a few qual matches that caught everyone's eyes, such as the high score of the event, qual 69, where 1718 and 4130 set the event high score of 124. But more importantly, it was against 3175 and 3539, who were also 2 of the top robots at this event. Qual 63 is probably one of the most qual matches that caught everyone's eyes this weekend, as there were 6 robots that were in the top 9 of the rankings at the time going in this match. Moving to elims, many were expecting an 1189 Scorch in this alliance selection, but there was only 1 decline in the end. 1189 would go on to select 494 the Martians from Goodrich, and they would accept. 3175 Night Vision was then the 2 alliance captain, and they went on to select arguably the best robot at the event, 1718 the Fighting Pie. 6861 the Tyros team was the 3rd seed, who selected 70 more Martians in the end, but originally selected 3539 Biting Bulldogs first, but then was declined. 3539 after the decline elected to select Team A18 the Steel Armadillos, and that would put 4130 in the 5th Alliance captain, and they selected Livonia District winner 2832 the Livonia Warriors to round out the top 5 alliances. Going into the quarters, the number 2 seed was the favorite to win this event by far, with the two best robots at the event. But they would actually get bounced by the number 7 alliance, consisting of Team 5926 the Moose, 4680 the Aztec Eagles, and 5843 Flurb, due to 1718 sitting there dead for a period of time in both quarterfinal matches. But the upsets did not stop here. The 4 seed, captained by 3539 the Biting Bulldogs, would lose in 3 matches to the 5 seed, captained by 4130. 3539's Traversal did not count in the first match due to being too high. 2832 Livonia Warriors on the blue side, their shooter in the second match was jammed. And in the third match, 818 on the red side had a shooter issue in match 3, but ultimately it would be the 5 seed moving on to the semifinals. Yet again, the upsets do not stop here. The 6 seed, captained by Team 469, beat the 3 seed in match 1, but would ultimately drop the next 2, and the 3 seed would move on to the semis. Ultimately, it would be the 2 Martian alliances meeting in the finals, the number 1 and the number 3 seed, and the number 1 seed would take home the win. 3175 Night Vision took home the Chairman's Award at this event to qualify straight to the Michigan State Championship in 2 weeks. And 818, the Steel Armadillos, took home the Engineering Inspiration Award. I'm excited to see many of these teams back at the state championship in 2 weeks. Moving back over to the west side of the state, we're going to go ahead and take a look at head over to Lakeview High School for the Lakeview District. Coming into this event, we had 2-time world champion 2767 Strike Force as the clear favorite, and looking to provide an improved performance after a great one at St. Joe. The Strike Force machine came out with an improved over-the-bumper intake and a killer auto mode that was shooting from the terminal that really propelled their team to not lose an entire match all weekend. Even though 2767 would go undefeated in quals, it would be Team 5084 Fridgebot, who was actually 10-2 in quals, but took the number 1 seed due to a higher ranking score average. They would go on to select Team 6078 RoboRams from Holt, and that would leave 2767 Strike Force, who would be the number 2 Alliance captain, and they would go on to select Team 1188 Ravens from Royal Oak. The number 2 seed would have no issue making it to the finals, as they went undefeated in elims and would meet the 2nd seed in the finals, but the 2nd seed almost did not make it out of the semis. The number 4 Alliance would not go away easy, and they would push it to 3 matches in the semis, but the number 1 seed eventually would prevail. Important to note that the 6th seed, captained by 6002 Robotics, did take down the number 1 seed in the quarterfinals in 3 matches. But as previously, the number 2 alliance had its way with this event and came out as the district event winners. Another thing interesting to note is that out of all the FIM districts this week, this event had the lowest high score with only 108. And we all know what happened in Troy, breaking in the Michigan high score record with 150. The Lakeview Chairman's Award would go to Team 2959 Robotarians, their 4th Chairman's Award, qualifying their team and robot for the Michigan State Championship. Engineering Inspiration Award went to Team 6002 Robotics and Rookie All-Star to 8608 Alphabots to round out this great event. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Nick. Let's bring in Dan, who's breaking down the FIM District Kentwood event and FIM District Troy events. Dan, good to see you again. What do you have for us?
Thanks, Steve. Through qualifications, Kentwood seemed like a pretty average Michigan district event this week. Both bonus RPs had over 40% of alliances reach them, and at the end of quals, 3357 would rank first for the 3rd time this year. They would go on to pick 503 for the first alliance, and they were definitely favorites to win this event. They easily won quarters, winning both matches by over 50 points each, and looked solid for the majority of semifinals 1. However, closer to the end of that match, 3357 turret would appear to stop working, but the number 1 alliance would hold on in semifinals 1 to win by 4 points. However, these problems continued to occur in the 2nd semifinals match and the eventual tiebreaker, which opened the door for the 5th alliance to win and advance to the finals. This would set up a 5v2 finals. The number 2 alliance was the favorite going into this, as they could score more cargo than the 5th alliance could get points for their double traversal climb. The 2nd alliance would win finals 1 pretty easily, 97-72. With around 80 seconds left in that match, 858 would take a hit that looks like it damaged one of their swerve drive modules, leading to the number 5 alliance using their backup coupon and swapping 858 for 7911 before finals 2. In finals 2, the 2nd alliance's 3rd pick, 3875, would flip pretty early on, but the 2nd alliance would still hold on to win 73-71. Congratulations to 4381 Twisted Devils, 2771 Code Red, and 3875 Red Storm Robotics on the gold. And congratulations to 3546 Buccaneers, 245 Atom Bots, 858 Demons, and 7911 the Belding Scrap Cat Robotics on the silver. Kentwood did see a lot of these teams on the 3rd play, which in districts will mean that they aren't going to get any points for those and take points out of the district pool, potentially lowering the cutoff threshold for MSC. 49-67, that one team would take home Chairman's, and 27-71 would take home Engineering Inspiration for the gold, silver, Kling Bling. Jumping over to Troy, Troy would find 3 teams with 41 ranking points tied for first at the end of qualifications. 27 would end up seeding first due to the average match score tiebreaker, with 67 and 23-37 following them. 27 would go on and pick 67 for the first alliance, and 23-37 would pick 54-60 for the second alliance. And neither of these alliances really had any close matches in quarters or semis. And they would meet up in finals. And we are going to talk about these finals more in our discussion period. But a quick run through of these. Finals 1 would be the closest match that either had up to that point. Number 1 alliance would win by 19 points, 105-86. In finals 2, the number 1 alliance would get a card, leading to the only upset in the playoffs at Troy. And in finals 3, the number 1 alliance would win 150-87, giving the number 1 alliance the win for the event. Congratulations to 27 Team Rush, 67 the Hot Team, and 43-84 Benzene Bots on the gold. And congratulations to 23-37 Engine Nerds, 54-60 Strike Zone, and 71-92 the Blue Thunderneers on the silver. 226 would take home their 8th Chairman's Banner since 2017, and 23-37 would win Engineering Inspiration for the double silver Kling Bling. Back to you, Steve.
All right, thanks, Dan. Let's bring Nick back in. Thanks for sticking around, Nick. We'll talk about what's coming up next week. Really quickly, I do want to just touch on the Troy finals. That was pretty interesting. I was on my couch watching, and man, there was some drama. I don't know if you guys are going to get into that on FRC Roundup, or maybe we just can talk about that in Discord. But what were your thoughts really quickly about that?
Yeah, so we'll mention it in Roundup too, because we're going to hit on what happened with Las Vegas as well. But this event was almost decided by cards, which is very unfortunate. There was a questionable yellow card that happened in Finals 2, and an almost guaranteed yellow card in Finals 3 that actually didn't end up getting called. So Rush and Hot ended up losing the second match, and probably should have lost the third, but didn't end up happening because the ref said they couldn't see the actual damage happen, which I think is the right call. But but ultimately we're going to be taking a look at kind of what's happening next week. We got a full slate of 5 events again next week, but I'm really excited and taking a look at the Jackson and Walled Lake events. At Walled Lake, we're going to be taking a look at 8332, alternate reality, also known as Baby Robo Jackets. And we'll be able to get another look at them. I fully expect them to win that event, if I'm being honest here. Also looking for 5167, the Vibots at Walled Lake take a big step. They were, very consistent at Rochester with their catapult, and I've seen great things from them over the past couple of weeks. And then Jackson looks to be a great one too. 3536 Lotro Eagles, 3322, 2611. Another great slate, and I'm really happy just to get this week rounded out and back to a real Michigan State championship we're going to see in a couple weeks here.
That's right. I'm super excited. So I'll be out at Walled Lake doing the emceeing. If you guys see me, come out and say hi. I'll also be emceeing at one of the fields at Michigan State Champs. So I don't know which one yet, but feel free to come out and say hi. So thanks, Nick. We'll see you shortly here on FRC Roundup.
Yep, no problem. Thanks, Steve.
Up next, we've got 2 events from Canada this week, and Sohaib is here to break down both. Our featured event was the Ontario District Windsor Essex Great Lakes event, day number 2, as well as the Ontario District North Bay event, day number 2. So, Habe, tell us what happened in the Great White North this week.
Thanks, Steve. So the Windsor Essex Great Lakes event got combined into a one-day event, even though it's called day 2. The day 1 event got combined with the day 2 event. So going into this event, we highlighted Team 4907 with the jump climb, and they did not disappoint. We saw them jump. We highlighted Team 4678, the Cyber Cavs, Team Dave, Team 3683, Celtex, 5406, and 1325, Inverse Paradox. That's just a few teams we highlighted, and they did not disappoint. This is getting later and later into the Ontario season, and we're really starting to see the competition pick up right now. We saw 22% matches that were unicorn matches. Now, unicorn match, as defined by the Blue Alliance, is a match where a team wins the match and also gets the 2 bonus ranking points, one for the climb and one for the 20 or 18 cargo in the hub. So that was very, very exciting to see. Team 4678 Cyber Cavs, with their consistent 5-ball and traversal climbers, seeded first and picked their OPR buddies right next to them on the OPR list, Team 3683, Team Dave. And 4617 Dawn as their last pick, who played some stellar defense on Celtex in the finals. This number 2 alliance was of Team 5406, 4907, and 5036. And I was really excited to see 4907 jump, and they jumped their way through semifinals with actually pretty close matches to 1325's alliance, which gave them a fair run for their money, but they won it in 2 matches. And then going on to finals, this was where things got interesting. So finals 1 was won 109-77 to the number 2 alliance, which we're not seeing a bunch of this year, but we're starting to see pick up, especially at the beginning of the year where we're really seeing number 1 seeds dominate. We're really starting to see lower seeds start to make title contenders now. So we saw Team 5406, 4907, 5036 win the first match 77-109. And in the second match, Team 5406 Celtex tipped over after crossing the berm. Now, originally, the referees called this a yellow card, and with Celtex being down, the Alliance had lost 81, with the Red Alliance getting a higher score. However, G206 says if a robot has been intentionally tipped and the robot can no longer drive, that is a red card. So unfortunately, we saw the number 1 alliance get eliminated on a red card, which no one really likes to see. However, congratulations to Team 4907, 5406, and 5036. 5036 getting their first event win. Now, at the North Bay event, we saw at least 1 hanger RP for either alliance in every qualification match on average, almost, with a success rate of 48%. This was really, really exciting to see, and it's really exciting to see robots climb their rungs at the end, and I think it's really one of the most diverse FRC endgames we've seen in a long, long time, and it's extremely exciting to see. At this event, Team 2609 Beaverworks seeded first. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, Beaverworks 2609 over the years has been building more and more competitive robots, and we're actually the number 1 ranked team in Ontario with an Everybot in 2020 before everything got shut down. So they seeded first and picked Team 4069 Lowell and Robotics with their last pick of Team 6859. Team 4152, Hoya Robotics, went on to pick Team 1305, who are not the captains, and they were also not the captains last week. Minor correction, over at York University, 5032 Falcons was actually the captain of the 1305 Alliance there. And the last pick over here at North Bay was 8729. These two alliances would go play themselves in the finals, so 1v2, red versus blue, with the red alliance, the 2609 led alliance, winning 70-49 and 63-29. Congratulations to Team 2609, Beaverworks, 4069 Llewellyn Robotics, and 6859 BML Robotics on their event win. Now going into Ontario, next week is going to be exciting. At the St. Mary's event, day 1 is what I'm looking forward to. We got 1114, 1241, 2056, and 4039. Those are the teams I'm looking forward to, and it's going to be a fantastic week in Ontario.
All right. So, hey, thanks, man. We'll see you next week. Up next, we have the U.S. North region, where we had one event taking place. Chris is here, I think, to tell us about the Seven Rivers Regional. Let's get that proper introduction. Wait a minute. This is Thanos. Where's your human tether?
Oh, around somewhere over that way. But yes, we have the Seven Rivers Regional to cover. So let's just get right into it. We had a 46 team battling it out in La Crosse, Wisconsin, up in that Tyler country. It's a weird place, that is, I tell you. Though through the 85 matches of qualification, only one team would go undefeated. That'd be 70-21 TC Robotics, but it would not land them in that number 1 seed. It would land them in the number 2 seed. Taking the number 1 spot would be 24-51 Ponage. And then we would also see seed 6, 4009, 1306, and 2977 upset the number 3 seed of 65-74, 76-19, and 8700 in the quarterfinals. They would bring us some of that momentum into the semifinals against the number 2 seed, 7002, 6421 Warrior Bots, and 5903 Thor Bots. It would go into a third rubber match, but the number 2 seed would heavily outscore them in tally-up and take their team into the finals against the number 1 seed of teams 24-51, 930 Buckwano Bears, and 80-24 Spara Robotans. So going into the finals match 1, coming out of Ottawa, we would see the number 1 Red Alliance take a small 4-point lead into tally-up. But this is where things would start to turn around for the Blue Alliance. With a good number of missed shots from Red, Blue would slowly start creeping closer and closer into the score and taking the lead towards the end of the match. So in about the last 30 seconds, they were just had grabbed the lead, and then it was climb time. So with only 2 red bots up in the air, the Blue Alliance would take victory, only leading by 7 points and giving away 4 points in fouls to the red team. So it was a very close match. So then going into that second match would go even smoother for Blue, coming out of Ottawa with a lead by 2 points. Shots would continue all throughout the match. Both alliances would be scoring, but there would be more Blue shots in than Red. And then focused on defense and trying to score more points, Red would run out of time trying to climb and only get 1 bot in the air on the nid rung. So congrats to the upset victory of 70-21, 64-21, and 59-03. Also, congratulations to 22-20 Blue Twilight on their chairman's win and rookie team 85-31 Terminators, both on the highest seeded rookie team and the Rookie All-Star Award. And so that was a great event. Looking forward to next week where my team will be competing at North Star Regional. Looking forward to seeing the Green Machine again there, and that other 88-3 team, 288-3 Fred. Should be a good time. Some awesome matches happening.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Chris or Thano or whoever you may be under that mask. We'll see you next week.
So long.
Up next, we travel down to the South region where we had 7 events take place this weekend. First, let's bring in Tausif, who's breaking down the Arkansas Regional and the Smoky Mountains Regional.
So thanks, Steve. Heading into Arkansas, the Arkansas Regional presented by Harding University and Cersei AMP, this event only had 19 teams for a 2-day event. Even with 19 teams, we had teams from 6 different states though. We had Arkansas, Massachusetts, Missouri, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Tennessee. We also had 1 team from Mexico as well. So with 19 teams, the event only had 6 alliances, which we will get into a bit later. This is probably the smallest 2-day event I have seen so far. The event had a total of 38 qualification matches. Even with 38 qualification matches, though, this event had some high-tier teams. There's Team Bomb Squad, Team 16, who won the Arkansas Regional back in 2020. Team 4635 Bot Busters, who won 2 regionals before they competed in the Arkansas Regional, and this is the team from Mexico as well. Team 3937 Breakaway, who were the finalists in the Arkansas Regional back in 2020. But Breakaway is coming back to get their revenge against Team 16. During quals ended with Team 16 being the ranked 1 team, and they picked Team 4635 Botbusters and Team 6586 Tuscan Raiders. Alliance 2 was Team 3937 Breakaway, Team 5454 Obsidian, and Team 7483 Mechanically Challenged. Now with 6 alliances, Alliance 1 and Alliance 2 had a bye for quarters. So quarters was just Alliance 4 and Alliance 5 versus each other, and Alliance 3 and Alliance 6 versus each other as well. Semis would go as normal. There was no upsets, so that took Alliance finals with the Alliance 1 versus Alliance 2 matchup. Now, finals had Bomb Squad and Breakaway back on the field playing head-to-head. It was pretty intense. Breakaway trying to get their revenge after 2020, with both alliances having accurate shooting, a human player making it cargo into the hub, and 2 swerve bots on both sides of the field. Finals were intense. But finals ended with Alliance 1 winning the event, with Finals 1 scoring 114-81, and Finals 2 score with 125-69. Congratulations to both alliances for a great set of matches. The finalists, Team 3937, Team 5454, and Team 7438. The winners, Team 16, Team 4635, and Team 6586. Finals congratulations go to Team 2341 Sprockets for winning the Chairman's Award, and congratulations to Team 5006 The Phosphus for winning the Regional Inspiration Award. Now heading almost 500 miles to the east, we are now at the Smokey Mountain Regional. This team had 43 events with teams from 8 different states. Sorry, it had 43 teams. After 79 qualification matches, Team 2614 Mountaineer Area Robotics ranked first and picked Team 2252 the Mavericks and Team 5002 Dragon Robotics. Alliance 1 was able to make it to the finals unscathed, scoring over 100 points in all their playoff matches. They did lose in semifinals 1 match 2, but won the tiebreaker. But on the other side of the bracket, there was an upset made in semifinals. Alliance 3 beat Alliance 2 2-0, making the finals Alliance 1 versus Alliance 3. Now, something special about this matchup was back in 2019 at the Saki Mountain Regional, Team 2614 and Team 4265 Secret City Wildbots were alliance partners, but now they're head-to-head in this finals match. Alliance 3, including the captain, Team 4451 Robot Garage, Team 4265, and Team 3824 HVA Robotics. Finals matches were intense, and it was an upset. I mentioned that Alliance 1 scored over 100 points in the playoff matches. Not anymore. Alliance 3 were able to hold off Alliance 1, beating them 0-2. In Finals Match 1, the score was 105-75, and Finals Match 2 was a score of 117-100. Congratulations to both alliances for putting up another great set of matches. The finalists, Team 2614, Team 2252, and Team 5002. And the winners, Team 4451, Team 4265, and Team 3824. Another congratulations are in order to Team 4451 for winning the Chairman's Award and Team 2614 for the Regional Engineering Inspiration Award. Now back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Stick around and we'll see you back shortly to talk about the Texas District Championship. Next up, we have Zach, who's bringing us breaking down the St. Louis Regional, the Central Missouri Regional, and the Bayou Regional, and as well as the First in Texas Pasadena event number 2. Jeff, what's going on? Excuse me, Zach, what's going on?
The St. Louis Regional took place this last weekend at Chavez Arena in downtown St. Louis, Missouri. This event featured 37 different teams from Missouri, Illinois, and Kentucky. With only one rookie team in attendance, this event set the stage for a deep, veteran-heavy field. Featuring a contingent of strong regional leaders such as 1706 Ratchet Rockers, 1756 Argos, and 2481 Robotiers. Qualification matches got off with a bang with a 100-point unicorn match in the first match of the event. This set a trend that would continue forward, as a striking 28 total unicorn matches would be recorded. 1756 Argos rode 9 of these 4 ranking point matches to their number 1 seed and first pick for Alliance selection. They chose to team up with 1706 Ratchet Rockers and 4931 Edwardsville Technologies. This alliance swept its ways to the finals with an incredibly interesting strategy. Instead of profiting from a single or double traversal climb like most number 1 seeds, this alliance instead chose to focus on scoring an immense amount of cargo in the high goal and simply deploying 1 or 2 high bar climbs. This strategy would prove fruitful as it earned them a finals berth against the second alliance, captained by 4143 Mars Wars, and featuring 2481 Robotiers and 3397 Robo Lions. This second alliance made its way to the finals by beating the upstart 6th alliance in the semifinals in 2 matches with their double traversal and mid-climb for a total of 36 in-game points. This clash of styles would meet in the finals, quick scoring versus in-game domination. 2 incredibly high-scoring matches would ensue, with the fast, high-cargo alliance cycles of Alliance 1 proving too much to handle as they took the match 2-0. Congratulations to the champions and Blue Banner winners 1756, 1706, and 4931, and finalists 4143, 2481, and 3397 for a great performance all weekend. Congratulations also to the Cultural Award winners of 3792 Army Ants for their regional chairman's win, along with 4329 Lutheran Robotiers for taking home the Engineering Inspiration Award. Now, on the other side of the state, the Central Missouri Regional saw 24 teams converge in Catalina, Missouri for the conclusion of 3 weeks of regionals in the greater Kansas City area. Here we saw a large contingent of teams with rapid react experience already this season, such as Team 4522 Team Scream, 1987 Bronco Bots, and 5801 CTC Inspire. These teams, among others, brought a level of experience not seen at other regionals so far this year. With this field of veteran teams, the competition was stiff throughout the long qualification stretch, shown in the fact that more than a third of quali matches were a unicorn match. During these, it would be Team 4522 Team Scream who took the first overall seed, going 12-2 in their qualification matches. They would then go on to select 1987 Bronco Bots and 5809 the Jeju Bots for the first alliance. This pairing would interestingly have a bye in the first round, as there were only 7 total alliances, so there could be backup bots in the playoffs due to the low attendance of only having 24 teams at this event. After their bye, the first alliance won over the 5th in the semis after a first round upset. They would then go on to face the third alliance in the finals, who were captained by 5013 Trollbots and featuring 1939 the Kniggetts and 4455 the Burger Bots, whom, as an alliance, had pulled off the 2-3 upset in the second round. However, during the finals, it would be the first alliance who would pull through the victory with crisp auto and an overwhelming barrage of high goal cargo, winning the Central Missouri Regional in 2 matches. Congratulations to 4522, 1987, and 5809 on their event win in Blue Banners. And congrats to 5013, 1939, and 4455 on their finals appearance. A special congrats to the Cultural Award winners as well, chiefly Team 6424 Stealth Panther Robotics for their Regional Chairman's Award win, and 3284 Camden Laser for earning both the Engineering Inspiration and Woody Flowers Finalist Award.
All right, thanks, Zach. Now let's bring in Jeff, who's going to be breaking down the Bayou Regional as well as the First in Texas Pasadena event number 2.
Yeah, so this weekend, 41 teams made their way to Kenner, Louisiana, just outside the Crescent City, to take home the Bayou Regional Blue Banner when they weren't busy eating beignets at Cafe Du Monde, of course. The sounds of jazz festivities filled the air as the setup of a Dixie Alley versus the visiting powerhouses took shape. Local favorites 364 Team Fusion, 456 Siege Robotics, 2992 the SS Prometheus, and 3039 Wildcat Robotics took on visiting powerhouses such as 118 Robonauts from neighboring Texas, 4355 Peñoles CP bots from Durango, Mexico, and the Florida invasion of 179 Children of the Swamp, 233 the Pink Team, 3932 the Dirty Mechanics, and 5872 Wired Cats. In the end, the Paris of the South would produce a love story of the ages between number 1 seed 179 and their first pick 118, and they rounded out their alliance with 7094 Alpha Omega from Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. The quarters and semis went without issue for this alliance, but finals would prove to be a different story. The number 2 alliance, the Mississippi Florida crew, consisting of 364, 2992, and 5872, were not going to let the number 1 alliance win that easily. But unfortunately, they couldn't overcome the cargo and traversal abilities of that number 1 alliance. Still, Finals 1 had combined penalty scores of 36, and Finals 2 was decided by just 1 point, a score of 120 to 119, after a combined 13 cargo and autonomous. Congratulations to the number 1 alliance on their win. A special shout out to 8732 Trinity Force from New Orleans on the Rookie All-Star Award. Props to Team 3932 on their Engineering Inspiration Award. And finally, congratulations to Team 2080 Torbotics from Hammond, Louisiana on their Regional Chairman's Award. Now, moving west along Interstate 10 back to the Lone Star State, 32 teams went back to Pasadena for the First in Texas Pasadena event number 2 to secure their spots in the upcoming district championship. We're missing some of the usual powerhouses this week, most of whom either played in week 4 or, in the case of 118, deciding to visit some neighbors. In the end, it was a close battle between 8177 Vector from Tomball and 324 Chips from Friendswood for the number 1 seed, with both teams averaging 2.58 ranking score. 8177 would secure the number 1 seed by less than 5 average match points, extending an invitation to number 3 seed and local team 231 High Voltage, and rounding out their alliance with 5986 Iron Fangs from San Antonio. Similar to Bayou, the quarters and semis went without any upsets, and the number 1 alliance would go on to the finals to face the number 2 alliance of 324 8019 Patriot Engineering from Mission and 7691 TSA All-Stars, also from Tomball. Both finals matches saw fairly low cargo counts from both alliances, with only 27 and 29 combined cargo in each match, but all 6 robots scored on the hangar in Finals 1 and 4 of the 6 in Finals 2. This made match scores a little lower than we've seen at 78 to 51 and 80 to 47, but defense and cargo management became key factors in these alliances' strategies, and it was the number 1 who was better able to manage both their own cargo and place their opponent cargo in some weird spots. Congratulations to them on taking home the win. Congrats to 8827 Edinburgh North Robotics on their Rookie All-Star Award. Shout out to 324 on the double silver Kling Bling with their finalist appearance and Engineering Inspiration Award. And congratulations to 2583 Orange Dynamite from Austin, Texas on their District Chairman's Award. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Jeff. Next, let's bring in Marco, who's covering the Fit District Amarillo event. Marco, how things go in Amarillo?
Evening, folks. Let's talk briefly about one of the last First in Texas tournaments of the year. The Amarillo District event was held this past weekend with a lot of on-the-bubble teams looking to maximize their rankings and make a run in eliminations with the hopes of securing their spot at the district championship. While the smallest FIT event of the year, with only 28 total teams registered, did not have a lot of big teams in attendance, it did mean the opportunity presented itself for many to snag a piece of glory. Only a third of the field advanced beyond the quarterfinal rounds of their first event, and despite this being the last weekend of district competition, we still saw the debut performance from a handful of teams. Heading into the event, the heavy favorites had to be 4206 RoboVikes, having already played twice this year, reaching finals in both and winning in Fort Worth. 4063 Trickstar for Kids were semifinalists in their first event and hope to improve on that performance. We also had 3481 Bronkbots, 4153 Project Y, and 7492 Cavbots looking for a good showing to seal their spot in Houston. As qualification matches got underway, we saw steady, consistent defense played in a lot of matches. Scores were modest through the event, and we had 4 teams and quals with a 10-2 record. As expected, though, 4206's shooting ability was too much for the rest of the field, and they took the #1 overall seed, using that to invite the only other robot in the field with an OPR over 30, the Bunnies from Del Rio 4063. And then they rounded out their alliance with Team 8512 Monsanto Monarchs. The gap in scoring ability was significant as elims went on. The #1 alliance faced only an average of 28 points in quarters, 37 in semis, and 46 points in the finals. The firepower of that #1 seed reigned supreme at the event as they easily took home the blue banner. Congratulations to 4206, 4063, and 8512 on a well-deserved win. Shout out to 4063 on their double cling bling for also winning the District Chairman's Award. That's all for Amarillo. Back to you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that, Marco. So next up we have, we're going to bring back in Jeff and Zach and Tausif, or excuse me, Zach and Tausif, or excuse me, Jeff and Tausif. Third time's a charm. Then we're going to talk about the Texas District Championship coming up this weekend down in Texas. That's why I'm wearing the hat. Guys, what do we expect this weekend?
So this weekend will be the first time states will happen in Texas since 2019. This will be the second time states happens. But now this year, instead of it being taking place in Austin, it's taking place the same place that Worlds is, the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston, Texas. I guess that's the power of Texas, the Worlds and states in the same place. But this year, instead of having 64 teams as it was in 2019, now it is 80. And to accommodate that, we now have 2 divisions. And in my opinion, these are the best division names than any other districts. We have Apollo and Mercury, hence the NASA hat. But having 2 divisions in states this year seems pretty interesting, pretty fun. Gives me some Texas Cup vibes, but there won't be any round robins, but it's just 2 divisions going against each other. It'll be interesting to see what goes on. Jeff?
Yeah, so I'm very excited. You can tell I was so excited my hat just flew right off my head. Which, if you were watching Amarillo this past weekend, you may have seen that actually happen in the middle of an elims match. I'm not going to tell you which one. Good luck finding it. But yeah, I'm super excited. I feel like I discussed it briefly. I think it was week 3. Texas really hasn't been hindered a lot by COVID, so a lot of teams have really proven themselves to be in that high caliber with the 148 and the 118s and the 3310s. So of course those 3 teams are going to be there, and of course you have 2468, 3847, kind of these usual powerhouses you think about in Texas. But especially with 2 divisions, there's going to be a lot more teams, especially this year, that could really secure a spot on whatever the Einstein equivalent of Texas is going to be called. If I recall correctly, at the Texas Cup, it was the Woody Flowers Field, which I'm really hoping they keep that name. But I'm very excited. I'm a little biased, but I have seen 4206 play twice now, and I'm very excited. They have a really great 6-ball autonomous if they get the roll just right. Normally scores 5, but sometimes does 6. It's absolutely amazing to watch. Also, 6800. I am really excited to see them play against 148, 118, and 3310 because we haven't seen that all season. And I'm going to be real bold here. I think they could take the whole thing. No matter who, unless something weird happens and their division gets totally scorched earth in alliance selection, I think 6800 wins the whole thing.
Wow. So do you guys know how they're splitting up the divisions yet? Have they been formed out yet?
No, so divisions have not been announced, which team is going to be in which division. Registration is, I believe, still going on. It probably ended today or ends tomorrow. So once registration is done, teams should have found out their division by load-in on Wednesday. So it'll be interesting to see how it is. I'm really interested in seeing whether they'll split up the top 3, 118, 140, and 3310. If they don't, then that'll be an interesting division, and it's just gonna be fun. I'm gonna be a bit biased, and I'm just gonna root for the Apollo division, but
I was thinking
I
kind
will
of the same
say
thing.
if
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, if any of the event managers are watching, I know some of you, I have some of your phone numbers. I'm just saying, I think you should take a take a page out of FIM's book and actually, use that division balancing formula, because I think that would make the matches a lot more exciting.
oh yeah,
Yeah. I'd love to see 148, 118, 3310, and even 2468 all kind of separated, especially 118 and 148. It's awesome to see the growth there in Texas and the going to the two division format. I love it. You guys, any last thoughts on Texas before we move on?
Yeah, something I just really wanted to point out was keep an eye on some of these 8,000 and above teams. I know, especially for me, like being a rookie in 2017, 8,000 seems like a really high number, and it seems like very new teams. And some of them, they're up to about 3 or 4 years old. But I mean, 8055 on Swerve, 80, 8177 just ranked first and took the event win. 8515 with their sniping autos that some other teams have been copying. So, really looking forward to this event.
no, yeah, I completely agree with you, especially with 8177 being ranked 1 in Texas right now, thanks to that 5H bonus. But these rookie teams, or I guess 2-year rookie teams, are just coming out of nowhere, and I'm excited to see what they do in the States.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week to break down what happened out at First and Texas District Champs. We'll see you then. Now, before we get into our last region, let's bring back producer Tyler, to talk more about our giveaway.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Steve. We'll be starting our giveaway in a second. So once again, thanks a lot to everybody who's watching live, by the way, for your patience as we get stuff back together. Things happen, right? We got to have one stream where everything goes wrong. So, but appreciate all of you as well. All right, let's talk about our giveaway for today, coming from our friends at Vex Pro. Celebrating its 10th season, Vex Pro is proud to have a hand in designing and developing some of FRC's most game-challenging products and game-changing products, including the Versa Planetary, Versa Frame System, and the Falcon 500. And today they're giving away a $50 gift card to somebody who types in the keyword cheesecake. Delicious. And also good on robots if you do it correctly. So cheesecake is going to be your keyword. Type that in chat. Don't forget we give some extra luck to our subscribers. You do need to be following to win as well. And we're going to draw for that after our last recap of the day. Before we get into our final recaps, let's take a moment to hear from our friends at Stryker and a little bit more about their culture.
I love working for Stryker.
I'm genuinely excited to come to work every day.
The minute you walk through that door, you know you are part of something special.
We support each other and look out for each other.
I love Stryker because we are like a family.
At Stryker, I own my career.
There are so many different places Stryker can take me in the next 5 years.
Noi crediamo che quello che facciamo è molto importante.
Together,
with our
customers,
we are driven
to make
healthcare better.
Great people with a strong mission and values can accomplish great things together.
3, 2, 1.
All right, so now we take it out to the West region and we bring on Aiden, who's going to talk about the Hawaii Regional, the Los Angeles Regional, and the Century Valley Regional from Fresno, California. Aiden, welcome back. Tell us what happened this weekend.
Hi-ho, and away we go to Honolulu, Hawaii, where 24 teams flew into the Aloha State for warm sun, cool surf, and some hot competition. Each team would receive 12 matches, forcing this event to be both a sprint and a marathon, pushing each team to go through 3 to 5 match cycles. Naturally, one of the most prepared teams for this would be 359 the Hawaiian Kids, who had previously played all the way to the finals at both Hawaii Port and Ventura Regionals. They had a clear lead over the rest of the competition with a just shy of poetic 3.58 ranking average. They made a little reach down the rankings for Swervy Partners 368 Kikamana, who had a 2.25 ranking average, and buddied up with Japanese rookie team 8853 Yukikaze Technology from Sapporo. With only 24 teams at the event and a need for backup bots, this alliance would receive a bye into the semis as there was no 8th alliance to form. The second seeded alliance would have a longer path ahead of them, as captains 2443 Blue Thunder would not be granted that same pass. They opted for rank 5 Aussie partners 4774, the Drop Bears, as their pick, and rank 22 rookies 8871 Saber Dynamics as their third robot. Though the quarters went well for number 2, the semis proved a tougher road as the combination of ball starvation and finicky shooters would force a tiebreaker match against the number 3 alliance. Blue Thunder and crew found their flow in the third round and managed to bring it back to the finals, where they would face off against Hawaii's final bosses themselves on the rank 1 alliance. Hawaiian kids, Kikamana, and Yukikaze Tech started off strong in finals 1, putting up nearly twice the amount of cargo as their opponents and leading 110 to 89. But the tides turned quickly as finals 2 went the way of Blue Thunder, Drop Bears, and Saber Dynamics after a fumbled Autonomous and a sticky climber from Red. This event really showcased the power of consistent traversal climbs. Though this year's endgame hasn't been the most powerful in the past few years, people who remember 2017, I'm looking at you, there was still a huge jump in points based purely on who had a reliable vertical. Finals 3 was a tense climax of the series as Red and Blue alliances went nearly even in teleop, but the 2 extra cargo and Autonomous for Blue, as well as the buzzer beater traversal climb, netted the number 2 alliance the win 95 to 87. Congrats to them on the underdog victory, as well as Team 3008 Team Magma on their EI win, and 2438 Robotics on their chairman's win. The number 1 alliance walked away with a couple more wins, however, as 359 would take their first ever creativity award, getting them one step closer to completing the engineering hexfecta, and Yukikaze Technology would be awarded the Rookie All-Star Award. Well done to all the teams taking on those tough Hawaiian turnaround tides this weekend. Moving on to Los Angeles, the City of Angels became the Village of Robots over in El Segundo, where 42 teams try to get their Houston tickets punched in one of the last regionals for California this season. Preseason hype started to become in-season mayhem as the undefeated 696 Circuit Breakers would overthrow 3476 Code Orange for the number 1 spot, scoring the cargo bonus in every match and only dropping 2 hanger bonuses. Nevertheless, 696 would buddy up with 3476, as well as 599 Robotics. The number 2 alliance would be captained by one of the hottest up-and-comers this season, 7157 Mubotics, who had received their second finalist finish last week in Davis and received a wild card to Texas off of it. They picked fellow Houston-bound friends 4201 the Vitruvian Bots, who had won the Chairman's Award at Orange County this year, and consistent climbers 4470 Ty Gears from Placentia. Little commotion going through elims as both the number 1 and number 2 alliances did the thing again and met in the finals. Though it looked like the number 1 was close to breaking a world record with their 168 to 111 win in finals 1, this was brought about by about 40 points in tech fouls as Ty Gears spent their match climbing high and inadvertently violating G404, despite starting the climb with a clear hanger. Ball entropy, what can you do, huh? The second final secured victory for Red, 128 to 105, netting Robodocs their first ever win since their start in 2001. Congrats to the number 1 alliance, as well as 4201 on not only their finalist win, but their Autonomous Award and Woody Flowers finalist award for Joy Uehara, netting them 5 unique awards this season. Shoutouts also go to 3749 Team Optics on their first chairman's win, 2637 Phantom Cats in their first EI win, and 8898 Royal Rebels Engineering on their obviously first Rookie All-Star and Wildcard. And now the last California event, if OBS wants to cooperate with us tonight, one of the few California tournaments with some breathing room, Central Valley loaded in 32 teams from up and down the state, as well as from Mexico and India. Looking for both the regional and championship back-to-backs was 1323 Madtown, who had previously taken Monterey Bay Regional, and 973 the Greybots, who were hunting for their first blue banner of the season. Naturally, these two 2019 allies buddied up for the number 1 alliance, grabbing Central Valley staple 5817 Unirex as well, while 1323's former partners 5940 Bread would pick their next closest partner 3970 Duncan Dynamics, who had previously made quite the run at San Francisco Regional, and 1266 the Devil Duckies. In fact, all the top 4 seeds would pick the teams directly beneath them in their pursuit of overthrowing the top 2 before the finals. It was not to be, however, as the number 1 alliance would blow through the quarters and the semis, with both the number 8 and number 5 alliances receiving red cards in their desperate attempts to stop the defending champions from stomping across the event. And the number 2 alliance would nearly triple their opponent's scores each match on the way to the top. Finals 1 was a narrow victory by the number 1 alliance, 149 to 134, brought ever closer by the 32 foul points between both alliances. Finals 2, a smidge cleaner, was 155 to 110 in favor of number 1 yet again. Congrats to 1323, 973, and 5817 on the dub. The awards game helped push a few more teams to Houston. Unirex took 1323's generated wild card, while rookie all-star winners 8768 C-Tech Titans from Fresno would receive 973s. A third wild card was thrown to the mix, as 3512 Spartatronics would win their first ever Chairman's Award, but had previously qualified off of a wild card at Ventura Regional a few weeks before. This will now be awarded to 3970 Duncan Dynamics, who he's seen put up an incredible champs-worthy fight at their past few events. Additionally, 115 MVRT would take home the EI medal after an admittedly too early knockout in the quarters. Congrats to all the teams, and we cannot wait to see you all in Houston. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Aiden. Appreciate it. Next up, we have Alex, who's bringing us the action from the PNW District Bonney Lake event. I don't know how you say that. And the PNW District West Valley event. Alex, what do you got for us?
This week at the PNW West Valley event, there were 25 teams that competed at one of the last opportunities to qualify for the district champs. Coming out of the qualification matches, there was a 3-way tie for the second place with 4089 in the first seed and 3663, 2147, and 5920 all tied in average RP. 4089 picked the second seed, 3663, as their first pick alliance partners, and the second seed alliance, captained by 2147, chose 6831 as their first pick. Because there were 25 teams, the first 2 alliances received byes in the quarterfinals, allowing them to progress straight to the semis, where both the first and second alliances faced some close matches. In semis 1, match 1, the point differential was just 9 points, with the teleop score being only 1 point in difference, in part because of a missed end-game climb from 3663. Going into the finals, it was the first alliance versus the second, and it was anyone's match. In Game 1, the cargo points were nearly identical, with the Red Alliance winning because of their endgame climb, but in Match 2, 4089 seemed to have some issues with their auto-aiming that had them slowly turning in a circle after audio, and seemed to have them switch mostly to defense after that. The Blue Alliance took the second match after the Red Alliance couldn't keep up with their cargo score. In what was supposed to be a tiebreaker, 4089 seemed to be having some more issues with their auto-aiming that also caused them to almost miss the endgame. But the Blue Alliance was just pummeling the upper hab, resulting in a third match having the identical score, both with penalties and robot scores. In the overtime match, the Blue Alliance had some issues with their defensive robot, 6076, and the Red Alliance just ran away with the score. Congrats to the winning alliance, 4089, 3663, and 8532 for the win, and congrats to 6831 for their Chairman's Award and 3663 for their Engineering Inspiration Award. Then, at the PNW District Bonney Lake event, going into the event, both 2910 and 2046 had just come off wins at their previous event, so both were favorites to do well. During most of the qualifications, both teams were trading the first rank back and forth, and were both showing off some amazing performance after the field. So, after qualifications, 2910 were ranked number 1, with 2046 close behind. In alliance selection, 2910 chose 2046 as their first pick, and 2557, the Sodabots, took over the second seed alliance and chose 2976 as their first pick. During eliminations matches, the first alliance was just dominant, consistently scoring more than 110 points in every match. In quarters 1, they were able to score 142 points penalty-free, and during the semis, they were able to score 141. The number 1 seed was able to make it to the finals without much issue. In the finals, they faced off against the second seed alliance of 2557, 2976, and 2929. In finals match 1, both teams were scoring high, and the score was close throughout the match, but in part because of the double traversal climb from the Red Alliance was able to defeat Blue 112 to 85. In match 2, 2557 was being defended against which almost completely shut them down from allowing and allowed the Red Alliance to run away with the score, and the Red Alliance was able to win the event with a final score of 138-69. Shouts out to both 2976 and 2557 for some of the most improved machines. They both have improved greatly from their first events and were almost able to match the Red Alliance in cargo. Congrats to 2046 for their Chairman's Award win, and to 4131 for their Engineering Inspiration Award win. Now, back to you.
Thanks, Alex. Next up, we have Grace, who's breaking down the Idaho Regional and the Las Vegas Regional. Grace, tell us what happened at your events this weekend.
All right, well, 28 teams, 6 of whom were rookies, visited my home state this weekend next to the potato fields at the Idaho Regional. Coming into the event were 4 potential wildcards, so there was a high chance for some teams at the event to go to Houston for their first time. Unearthing themselves from 12 qualification rounds, the terrific tubers on top was Team 2122, Team Taters, coming out undefeated on their home field. They picked up ranked number 2 6036 Peninsula Robotics and rounded out the alliance with rookie team and Idahomi 8546 Line Break. In quarterfinals 1, they faced the number 8 alliance of 4598 Icarus Innovated, 7634 New Hawks, and 5461 Vern. Taters and Peninsula put up the event high score together, but in their second match, Taters stopped moving, but still had enough points to get the win. Throughout the semifinals, 2122 was intermittent, and 6036 carried the alliance to victory against the number 4 alliance of 1569 Haywire Robotics, 3216 Missoula Robotics team, and 2594 NAS Scorpions with scores of 98-46 and in a nail biter 66-59. The Tater connection issues were to the point that before finals 1, they were unable to connect to the field, and in order not to delay the match, had to sit out, facing the number 3 alliance of 114 Eagle Strike, 1891 Bullbots, and 8839 Shoshone Robotics, who, by the way, had one of the best cheesecake editions of several toolboxes full of Clecos strapped onto the back of their robot. Facing this alliance was just Peninsula and Line Break, who carried the number 1 alliance to victory in a match that had to be replayed again due to a malfunctioning field e-stop button. In Finals 2, 2122 returned to the carpet after completely re-imaging their Robo Rio, and between them and 6036 set up the event high score of 127-81 and secured the blue banner for the audience. The first one for the alliance, the first one ever for 6036 and 8546. With Tater's wildcard 8546 Line Break also qualified for Worlds. A huge shout out as well to Culture Award winners 6358 the Boolean Operators for Engineering Inspiration and 4598 Icarus Innovated for Chairmans and their first ever blue banner. Thanks to all who visited the land of the potato. I know I had a blast. Speaking of a different kind of chips, 44 teams duked it out at the Las Vegas Regional. After 74 qualification matches, it was Floridian Visitors 2383 the Ninjineers coming out on top. They picked up 44-15 Arizona Valley winner Epic Robots and 87-17 Cyber Vipers. It was a close quarterfinals going to 3 matches in the series versus the number 8 alliance of 60 Bionic Bulldogs, 47-38 Apache-Bots, and 30-09 High Scalers. In the third match, a defensive face-off between 47-38 and 87-17 yielded damage to both robots, leading to not only a double red card, but a match replay, a call to headquarters, an FMS reboot, and a delay of about an hour. In the replay, number 1 pulled ahead, just barely winning 75-65. Just sliding into the semifinals, they faced the number 5 alliance of 5472 Stallion Robotics, 7426 Pair of Dice Robotics, and 1388 Eagle Robotics. While number 1 took the first match with a close win, they lost the second as 87-17 sat unmoving on the field. For the rubber match, the alliance called in backup robot 8022 Raging Hawk Robotics. With reinforcements in tow, number 1 pulled the victory in yet another rubber match. In the finals, they faced off against the number 2 alliance, led by 987 the High Rollers, paired with 4183 the Bit Buckets and 991 Broncobotics. In what were some of the highest scoring matches of the event, number 1 beat out number 2 by margins of 10 or fewer points, just slightly outscoring with cargo. With wildcards, the entire number 1 alliance, including their backup robot, qualified for Worlds. Congratulations to 2383 The Ninjineers for their Silver Gold Kling Bling with their Engineering Inspiration Award win. And congrats also to 1138 Eagle Engineering for chairmans. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Grace. Next up, let's wrap this up with our PNW District Championships preview. Alex is back to break down that event. Alex, what are we looking forward to this week?
Going into the Pacific Northwest District Champs, I would say that my favorites to win the event are, surprise, surprise, 2910 Jack in the Bot. They've just shown at every event they've attended this year that they can just score in the upper hub really consistently, and that they have a really consistent, good traversal climb. They just seem to be getting better and better at every event that they attend. They've got a really fast little robot that just seems to be destroying the competition. 7034 has also shown themselves to be a robot to watch out for. They've won both of their events that they've attended, have a really consistent shooter, and have been doing really well so far this year. 2046 this weekend and last show that they have one of, if not the best climbers in the region. I don't think I've ever seen them fail the climb this season, and they have one of the fastest climbs that I've seen. 4488 Shockwave had some issues during their qualifications matches, but during eliminations, they showed that they are an amazing machine, and as a plus, their robots always look really, really good. And then lastly, 4089 Stealth Robotics, they won West Valley as the Alliance captains and Glacier Peak with 2910, and looked great doing it both times. My sort of dark horse pick for the district champs is probably 2976, the Sparta Bots. Watching them in the eliminations at Bonney Lake has me convinced that with just a little more driver practice and maybe a little bit of tuning, they could be a top 4 contender at this event. It should be said that not all of these teams are confirmed to go to the event yet, but I hope that all of the teams that have qualified will be in attendance. There are lots of good teams in the PNW this year, and I predict that this will be a really fun event. 2910 and 2046 have been dominant at all their events so far, but I don't think that they will have as easy a time winning the district championships. The field in the PNW this year seems to be pretty closely high-performing near the top, so I predict lots and lots of upsets and fiery matches this next weekend. Now, back to you.
Thanks, Alex. Looking forward to that event and all of those district championships this coming week. So before we wrap up, let's bring back producer Tyler to start our giveaway from Vex Pro.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Coming out from Vex Pro once again, a $50 Vex Pro gift card to help celebrate Vex Pro's 10th season. So cheesecake was the keyword for that. If you do win, by the way, please make sure you shoot me a message, first updates now, or you can do it on Discord. That's actually even better. So let's go ahead and roll for that winner. It's going to be Aiden. You can't win. So Aiden won. Unfortunately, we have to re-roll because Aiden was a host during the show. We have a house rule. Sorry, Aiden. Oh my goodness. Well, Wobchick wins, who apparently has been winning everything recently. So congratulations on that. And I don't know, Wobchick, what type of lucky draw you have, but congratulations to you.
Thank you for tuning in to FRC Recap for week 5 of the Rapid React season. If you're watching live, stay tuned for FRC Roundup, where we will break down our open table discussion for Rapid React for this week and beyond with Nick Jr. And special thanks to all those who clicked that follow button or stepped up to help fund with a Twitch subscription or donation. Your support really helps continue us to make great content, and even with all the technical difficulties today. Don't forget, you can watch FRC Recap archived at youtube.com/firstupdatesnow. On behalf of our producer, Tyler Olds, and all of our fun correspondents, I'm Steve Londo. Thanks for watching, and good luck to all teams competing in week 6 at your district championships and beyond. We'll see you next week on FRC Recap.
Thanks to Kettering University for their support of this video. Did you know that over 30% of the student population at Kettering University was in high school robotics? These same students have received a portion of over $7 million in robotics scholarships from Kettering University. See why so many in FIRST chose to go to Kettering University at kettering.edu. Thanks to Stryker Careers for their support in this video. Apply the skills you gained as a FIRST student or mentor and help change the world at Stryker. Stryker is the top career choice for many of those in FIRST because of their commitment to innovation and saving lives. Learn more about the incredible culture at Stryker and view their thousands of positions available around the world at careers.stryker.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow and check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.